Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Anime Odyssey, the one time of the month where we get to actually weeb out and not get yelled at by the rest of the panel. Right, Jeremy?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
It's nice to do this.
Welcome, one and all. We are happy to have you here, and we are ready to sit down, have a good time. We're going to talk some Vision of Escaflowne tonight, the 90s classic, as well as a couple extra topics that have basically got Dermy and I annoyed. First of all, then, Dermy, how you doing?
Mhm.
How you doing, champ?
I'm here. I'm alive.
Yeah.
Kind of tired. Pushing a lot, getting videos out there, interesting stuff going on. Hey, I got another 1,000 viewed video, so that's good. And just chugging right along. Excited to see Dune Part 2 this Saturday, and honestly excited for both Ballbusters and Saturday Charity. So
Yeah, if we weren't doing this right now, I've been playing Rebirth right now. If we weren't doing this, I'd be playing Rebirth. Anyway, and we've got a good guest tonight, Brandon, the anime guy. Brandon, welcome to the channel. How are you today?
Gentlemen, I'm doing well. I'm so grateful to be here and to weeb out with you without people throwing the bananas at you saying, "Hey, stop weebing out. Stop it."
I know. Why don't you let the chat tell them about your channel, what you do, so they can get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. I'm Brandon, the anime guy of Anime Guy Entertainment. I cover primarily anime, a little bit of manga, and try to do a little bit of fun stuff with gaming every now and then. But anime being the main thing, and you know, I have been enjoying my renaissance into anime over the past 2.5, 3 years, and I don't know what I'd be doing without it. So, because most Western media sucks.
It does. I mean, I don't know where I'd be either without anime. In some of my darkest times, it has been there to simply let me escape bullshit. I mean, I got sick and injured about 6-7 years ago, and I was literally laid up for a year between recovering from the illness and also waiting for my foot to heal so I could walk like a normal person. And what I did a lot of, I watched anything I get my hands on, but what I really did is I dove into anime deeper than I ever had before. And I watched way more. I broke out of my comfort zone. My comfort zone has always been science fiction and fantasy, but I broke out of it and I just watched anything and everything I could that remotely looked like it was interesting. And I've never regretted that moment since. I mean, I've been watching anime for decades. Excuse me. Anyway, but that was really when I decided to just watch everything and realize, you know what? There's more than just what I normally watch. And I'm happy I did it because it allows me every season of fresh anime coming out of Japan. It's more than just 2 or 3 shows. Now I can get up to sometimes 15 shows out of the entire thing that I can then enjoy, lack of a better term. So we're happy to have you here, and let's say hello and hail and howdy to the chat. Across both my chat and Dermy's chat. Welcome to everybody. Hail the Goddess Legionist, one of my mods, one of my regulars, here to keep the peace, be my personal troll, and let me know when I have stepped out of line. And he doesn't care. He will always say, hail Carl Carlson, how are you? Let's go on. Hail Vinzinger. Always glad to see you here on this show. Going on down. And that's it. That's it. If you're just watching and not chatting, we're happy to have you here. Hit that like button, subscribe to everybody's channels and the links below. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the show, whether it's live or on the re-upload. All right, so the Vision of Escaflowne. I became aware of this way back in the 90s when Fox Kids was still a thing. I know, old man here. Leave me alone. It appeared on Fox Kids, and problem was I was in my real super snob phase where I refused to watch just about anything dubbed. I had just started getting more and more into anime at the time, and I thought, wow, this is on Fox Kids, which means it's probably going to be a horrible dub. This is around the whole starting the 4Kids era, so I was already very, very, very hesitant to some things just before it started, but that Bandai led into it. And I thought, you know what? Screw this. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to wait till I can get it on complete series DVD. And I did a few years later, and I was blown away at the time. I thought, wow, this is great. This is fantasy. It's got mechs in it. And I was happy I owned it. And the package, the set I got came with the series and the movie. So I had it all. And I enjoyed it all. And I never regretted it. And I will say, though, having watched it this many years later, it's been a lot of years, my tune might have changed a little bit. I still like it, but my tune might have changed a little bit. Now, Dermy,
Mhm.
I selected this month because I wanted to do something classic, but I also wanted to do something that could fit into your wheelhouse, mecha. As a
Mhm.
fantasy mecha anime alone, starting with that, how surprised, satisfied, or disappointed were you with its mecha aspects? Being the mecha connoisseur.
I would say I was satisfied because there's all sorts of styles that do a mech, and I think this is technically the second like fantasy mech anime that I've seen. There's one that came out maybe a year or two ago that I saw that I liked, but it was a little bit more magical
Mhm,
science fiction, where this felt more like the mechs were more armaments.
mhm,
Like they were actually just giant suits of armor, and I like that aspect of it. They did have magical elements to some of them, but it felt more sciency versus magic.
yeah.
So
Brandon, how did you like the mech aspect of Escaflowne? For which show? So you told me in the green room you didn't get to finish all the way through. So how did you feel about that?
Well, the mecha suits, they fit for what they're trying to do. They do feel more like power armor, or in
Mhm,
this case, steampunk
mhm.
type of items, as opposed to either running strictly on magical powers or running on high tech abilities. Like how a Gundam does. So I thought it fit perfectly. And, they were big, but they weren't
yeah.
kaiju sized.
Yeah.
They were. I think they were appropriate for the setting that they were trying to go for.
Mhm. And I like the different aspects for the world of Gaia. They all have their different versions, even though they don't. That's one of my few criticisms now, watching it all these years later, having been exposed to way more anime this time. They didn't world build enough in Gaia, so I would have liked to have seen the different mechs from the different regions more and
Yeah.
why they were maybe built the way they were built. At the same time, I do appreciate, like you guys said, that in this particular setting, in this particular version, because Escaflowne is different in the movie. In this one, they are comparable size to the battles you're seeing, with Escaflowne and the Zybeck Gaimalefs being a little bigger because they're more advanced. As opposed to the movie version, that's kaiju size. Escaflowne and the other Gaimalef it fights at the end of the movie, they are kaiju size. They are huge. And frankly, I love it because it works in that one. Then that's the beauty of that setting. We'll talk a little bit about the movie later towards the end. But I really do like the way the mech is handled, like Dermy said. It has a mechanical armor feel to it where it's a weapon. It's not just something you're piloting. You're in it, you're moving it, and it's a part of you. And I dig that. And it's interesting when they can get it right with fantasy, because there was another fantasy when it came out of a few years ago based on a manga, Knights and Magic, I think it was called. I don't remember.
That was the one I was
It was
thinking about.
it was an isekai where, and this is technically an isekai, one of the original isekai, with Hitomi going to another world. Back then we didn't, that term wasn't a term yet back then. At least not I wasn't aware as a teenager. But uh that one was a reincarnation isekai, and that thing just went full bore. We're putting super mechs into this fantasy world, and I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it because of its broken nature, not because it worked. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because not to get into like Knights of Magic, but their magic system was similar to coding. The
Mhm.
guy that got reincarnated there, he was big and he was a
He was on
genius
Otaku.
coder, and yeah, he
Mhm.
was an
Yeah.
otaku, and it flowed well. It was a fun time.
Mhm. And but so it works with this, but that's just one aspect. I mean, the title is Escaflowne, the vision of Escaflowne, but the show has to also work because of the story and the characters. Now, for those who need a quick refresher, Escaflowne is a story of a world called Gaia, which was born out of the wishes of the ancient draconian race that inhabited Atlantis. Their dying wishes create a new world that could be free of the problems they created on their own, and thus that world was, it grew and it evolved, but it also was generally plunged into the general warfare of humanity. And unfortunately, people from our world, Earth, which to them is known as the mystic moon, which hovers in their sky all the time, occasionally come over for one reason or another. And whether it's reincarnated or weirdly teleported, again, there's a kind of little iffiness on the lore in some cases. We'll talk about that. But they come over there and they get involved, especially in one case with the emperor of Zybeck, Dornkirk. Or let me ask you about this, Dermy. How did you? Because and Brandon, I know you didn't get that far. How do you feel about the fact that Isaac Newton was your bad guy in this?
I gotta be real honest. Yes,
Yes,
Isaac
Emperor
Newton is the
Dornkirk.
villain.
Emperor Dornkirk is Isaac Newton, which is
Wow.
why he's obsessed with gravity and forcing things to and learning why things are happening. Yeah.
Uh,
There was like hints throughout the thing, like, okay, he's from Earth, there's these little tiny hints. He was a scientist, stuff like that. And then it gets revealed that's Isaac Newton. And when they finally reveal it, it's like, yeah, why didn't you figure this out the whole time? It was a fun little twist.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of don't see it coming until it's right there, and then you're shocked you never saw it.
Mm-hmm. Just like with the Delandau twist to Selena. They drop a lot of hints early on, and if you know what you're looking for, it's there. But when he transforms for the first time in front of Alan, it's like, whoa, okay, there it is. But so Isaac Newton being your bad guy is just an example of people coming from Earth and influencing that world, and then becoming obsessed with controlling it. And I was okay with it originally. I was a little more frustrated with it this time because at the very end, after Vaughn's brother, can't remember how to pronounce his name. Fulkin. After Fulkin kills his body, somehow Dornkirk revives himself as an image.
Force Ghost.
It's the story, and we're in the final 2 episodes, so there wasn't a lot of room for explanation. But that's something that kind of needed explanation. And from what you saw, Brandon, in terms of how the show dealt with show don't tell, how do you feel about how it did? Because I feel it did a lot of decent show not telling, leaving things up to the audience to interpret without holding their hand.
Yeah, there was a bit of that, and as I said, I didn't get as far into it as I was hoping. As I said there, as I mentioned earlier, this show felt a bit like a slog to me, which it shouldn't, because this is typically right up my alley. But yeah, I do like the fact that they showed off the mechs. I do like the fact that they showed off the Escaflowne, what it was capable of, and some of the other modes that it can operate in. I don't fully get the whole why they want the Escaflowne specifically, other than the fact that it's the dragon heart thing. That's about the only thing that I can figure that makes it unique versus the rest of them.
Well, the Energist is kind of the power of everything, and that particular one is the bond, because the way the ones that built it. In the end, they needed it because, first of all, Dornkirk didn't like it because it was blocking his vision of his destiny prognostication machine.
Oh, yeah.
His ability to look the future. But then he needed it to supercharge it at the end. They weren't very clear on that, Dermy. Did you catch exactly why? It's one of those things that they tell you, but then also don't really completely put together.
That's what I'm trying to think about.
Yeah.
Because you just brought this up. It's like they give you these reasons on why they want it, but then in the end, they get everything done without having it.
They change the problem is the narrative seems to fluctuate at times.
Yeah.
In terms of what the goals are. I mean, Isaac Newton Dornkirk's goals is always to create his. By the time you get to the end, he wants to create a future where everybody's wishes can come true, because that's the power of Atlantis, to grant your inner heart's most desire. And it's that classic thing: fate versus freedom, controlled destiny versus freedom. That's the bottom line theme of this show. And do you want to cast it off, or do you want to control it? And then what do you use to cast it off? How do you where then do you find your direction if you're not being controlled? And in this case, they use the classic theme of love, and not only familial love but romantic love. And the way the narrative flows around that, though, with the key aspects of Escaflowne and Hitomi and the point of power and all these things, it seems to not quite line up perfectly as much as I would want it to.
One of the things that I'm kind of pointing out here is They were showing that like Hitomi could somehow affect Escaflowne with its you said it earlier, the stone that it has.
Energist.
Yeah, with this energist and everything, like it could affect it, do all sorts of stuff with it. Later on, it gets revealed that her thing is
It's a
some sort
pendant
of
from
like
Atlantis. Well, the stones from
from up.
Atlantis. That because
Yeah, the stone's
the
from Atlantis, so I guess the
Escaflowne's
energist is.
interaction core is made of the same stone. They don't come out and say it. It's one of those things they
Mhm.
show you but don't tell you that it's
But
clearly made out of the same stone as her pendant, which survived from Atlantis to reach Alan's father all those years later. So that's
but
why
it's one of those.
Vaughn is able to
Mhm.
use it to detect invisible enemies and the like.
That's just one of those weird things because it was kind of showing that Hitomi could somewhat influence
Fate.
Escaflowne
Well,
fate,
fate in
but like
general. Yeah.
fate in general is what it ends up being revealed. But I mean specifically like influence how Escaflowne acts and everything like that, even if it's just fate. But then they kind of just stop kind of doing that
They
later on.
switch the gears is what they do. They go from she's helping Vaughn with Escaflowne to suddenly no. She's controlling fate with her pen and she's using the power of Atlantis, even though she has no draconian blood in her. She's just a powerful psychic that gets more powerful when she's on Gaia. I mean, how do you
Hence
guys
why
feel
she
about that?
sees the visions and
Yeah.
why she does the tarot card readings to get clarity. That
Yeah.
makes a little more sense now. I thought the pennant did have something to do with it, and
It
knowing
amplifies.
this now, it makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the catalyst that influenced because that was the power source of Atlantis that allowed them to literally do anything they wanted, including create Gaia. So when she's using her pendant, every time she tells a fortune, she's literally putting that fate into play and making it immutable, making that's what's going to happen. And she gets warned about that later on by the ghost of Vaughn's mother. But then at the same time, I mean, Dermy, I felt it was really weird how first Vaughn's mother, when they go to Atlantis, tells her, don't use the pendant. You're influencing fate. Your anxious feelings, your angry feelings, your sadness is influencing in a bad way. And then the spirit of her grandmother says, it's okay if you do it if you love somebody.
The way I took it
I
from her
didn't notice that as a
grandmother
kid.
wasn't the way I took it from her grandmother. It wasn't. She was agreeing with the hey, don't use it as much, but just
You know,
trust in somebody, and the powers will be a little bit different.
I know it's like put your trust in me. You're right, but it's still the conflicting aspects of it, and it's never really resolved. If you ask me, I mean, do you think that that was all resolved? They kind of just let it drop, Dermy, didn't they? Because then she just gives it up without ever
Yeah.
realizing I shouldn't do it at all. She's kind of not. She gives up. I mean, I say that she gives it up without choosing not to do it at all, but she kind of continues to try and influence things right up until the end. And
Well, yeah. Well,
yeah,
so what happens is, yes, she's told no long like she should no longer try to control fate. She should no longer try to do any of this stuff. Is this this should be after the wedding?
yeah. It's when she realizes that she shouldn't have messed with it,
Yeah, because
and
all the chaos was happening because of her.
at least she thinks it is. I mean, maybe that's a theme that we should look at in this. What was fated to happen and what was influenced to happen? And a lot of things seemed like they were going to happen no matter what, whether she had a vision or not. Is that how do you guys feel about that? Because that's the thing. It's fate versus controlled fate versus freedom of destiny. You know, it's and I'm very interested in discussing this whole forced fate thing because it's a theme that I've worked with in the past in writing, and when I did it last, I came to some sort of conclusion on how to work it in. But when I come back to it to rewrite that story in the future, I'm gonna need to rework it because I was never completely satisfied with how I did it, and I'd really like to hear thoughts on on what the show is pushing with the idea of using your heart, your desires to fix fate, and whether or not that is even an appropriate theme to tackle in that sense. Am I going too off the rails with this? 'Cause I've been
My
trying to think
brain's
how to
broke.
cover this. What did I
My
did I
brain's
did I break you,
broke
Jeremy?
a
Did I
little
break
bit.
Jeremy?
A little
Did I break
bit.
Jeremy? Um, Well, I could play a Dermy clip if that'll help you.
No.
No, this is Odyssey. We don't play those clips on this show. Brandon,
it
you want
goes
to try and tackle that?
well. It goes back to the whole thing. Do you have free will or not? Do you, if you have the ability to see things that could possibly happen, does that still preclude your free will for all these things, or does that overrule it? And it's probably a good thing that we are not granted as humans in general the ability to see the future, because it really does. That could be something that could really weigh on somebody, knowing that something is going to happen, but yet you're powerless to stop it, but at the same time still hopeful that you can influence them without overriding their free will to not go down that path. It's a weird dichotomy, and
and the show touches on that because Hitomi quickly learns that, at least from her perspective, she is overriding people's free will.
Yeah.
When she forces the marriage between Malerna and God, what was that dude's name? So I forgot his
Merchant
name.
dude.
Yeah, merchant dude. I suddenly forgot his name. I've been watching too much shit the past while. I got too many names in my head, and I didn't put up a list.
Oh yeah,
but,
it's hard to remember all the names.
And
it's difficult. I get you.
And so she did she did change that because she saw that Alan and Malerna were fated to end up together, but she changed because of her own desires. And I want to talk more about Hitomi and her character in general in a moment as we delve into the character discussion of the show. But I want to stick to the themes a little bit longer. But the whole choosing fate and this and that, and the problem I have with this is that Hitomi, they never really give us an answer. Was Hitomi really affecting everything, or was it really just supposed to happen that way? Because everything she ever sees always comes true. Never once was she wrong. So as soon as she put something into play, it always kind of happened.
I think she was affecting everything, and maybe she was seeing what she was supposed to do, because I keep going to the wedding scene, because she specifically did what she did, not just because she saw Merlerna getting with Alan, but also because she saw all this chaos unfolding, all this like destruction, people dying, this massive attack was going to unfold if this all goes down. So she thought it is better that she marries Merchant Dude, because that way they could probably lead to a more peaceful outcome. But
she also did it out of selfish reasons.
That too. But one of the aspects was she was also it was selfish, but at the same time trying to avoid this inevitable attack that would lead to several people being killed. And then what ends up happening is the attack still happens and several people end up getting killed. So it boils down to question, was she just destined to always be controlling that? To always go down this path? So
yeah. And that's Stinger. Is there team free will, or is everything preordained? And I think the very end of it, during the what is it, the circle of perfect, whatever it was called, shit, just forgot it again.
The ending I did not like. I'm just gonna say it
now.
I
have my problems with the ending. I have my problems with the ending because here's the thing, and Brandon, we'll explain to you what happens at the end there. What happens at the end?
Philosophical.
It gets meta. That's the problem where the show falls apart. It gets too meta, and that's why the movie works better, because it doesn't get meta. It just is straight. This gets very meta at the end about what happens is the zone of perfect
freedom,
perfect something. I just forgot it. And so like zone of perfect reaction or something like that, where after what happens is Hitomi keeps freaking out about Vaughn and keeping him from pain when she realizes she's in love with him, and I don't want to go. I want to finish this topic because I do want to move on to Hitomi, because I keep steering us back towards her, and we need to talk about Hitomi as a character. But she creates a moment where her and Falcon get transported using the pendant and his device that he had rebuilt from his fortress to Zybok capital with the prognostication
Prognostication, yeah.
Prognostication destiny machine in front of Dornkirk, and she knows that Falcon's going to die. She can't do anything to stop it. And even if Falcon knows he's going to die, he goes ahead with it anyway. Problem is, once she's there, and once Falcon kills the body of Dornkirk, and then Isaac Newton reappears as a Force ghost, the zone of perfect reaction, or whatever it's called, happens around the entire world, and it suddenly triggers the stored Atlantean power from the point of Freyed, and now everybody's getting their deepest, darkest wish. And according to Isaac Newton, everybody's deepest, darkest wish is to fight and to have war. Because now everybody starts fighting each other, and it only stops because let me finish. It only stops because Van decides Van gets broken out of it because he hears Hitomi cry his name, and then he flies there on his wings when Escaflowne craps out, and their love breaks through the device, and then that breaks the control over everything. It's
I don't get the love part of it. I did think hard about like why everybody would just fundamentally just want to start fighting each other is because one of the big aspects of the zone of the device thing that grants everybody's fucking wish, or allows them to have everything they ever fucking want, would ultimately kind of actually make sense that everybody would ultimately start fighting, because some people want something that somebody else wants and you have a limited amount. So there's going to just be conflict that erupts. So that kind of starts making sense. How they break out of it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because he just breaks the machine, and I would understand that, but the deed is already done. The power's already spent. And then everybody comes back to their senses. I know. I know.
I remember
get it. Right.
I remember I liked this show, but I'm questioning it more critically than I did in the past, because that's the job here. We're supposed to discuss it and have a critical discussion about these things.
I like the show. I still
like it. And I also, let me just think about this then. I mean, because the meta ending, here's the problem. It goes back to what I said before. They world built, but they didn't world build enough to answer some of these questions about the other nations, the other parts of the world. That's what I feel is missing. I think there's world building missing. And real quick, Jay Fraser 360 for £5. Hail Weebs and Dermy. Ube Blot or Ubel Blot. Okay, I can't speak that. Ubel Blot is finally getting an anime. Are there manga or light novels you read but haven't gotten an anime adaptation yet? I'll answer that first. There are ones that have stopped their adaptations that I want to finish, that I've known over the years. Or I would say ones that were adapted and were ended prematurely and got crap anime endings and didn't get real endings. So that's how I answer that. I would like to see things that were started be finished, that were going for years, that got maybe one season and then they didn't. Sorry, no more. That's my answer to that. Dermy?
Give me a good Chrono Crusade anime.
Okay. Brandon?
Because I had an anime version of it and it sucked ass.
I watched it once and I don't remember watching it. Well, granted, that's when I was sick and my memory is a little fuzzy from that period.
So the mangaka actually, in the manga itself, he does like little narratives at the end, and he outright says like, yeah, we got the permission to do an anime, and they're butchering it and doing things that I don't want. So he actually called it out even in the manga itself. So, and then I saw it and I wanted to die a little bit inside.
I remember not enjoying it. Brandon, do you have an answer for this one?
Well, let's see. A show that got cut too soon. Recently, I would have to say Skeleton Knight in Another World. I absolutely had a blast with that. I know the manga
liked
still
that
going.
One. That was good.
Yeah. It was for its standard isekai trope across up one side and down the other, but I enjoyed it. It's only got the one season. I haven't seen anything for a second.
It could be more. It's only been a year, so there's been ones that like that have been a couple of years and suddenly they come back. Yeah, so there's still a chance for that one. There's still a chance for that one.
I'm gonna change my answer after you said that.
You can have more than one answer, Dermy. It's okay.
Also, Excel World.
Yes, I can see that.
And then, as far as manga goes, There is one series that I have, or that I've started, that has been completed for 30 years, but we've
Oh.
never received a full release here. And it looks like we're going to get it. So far, we're more than a third of the way done. And that's Fists of the North Star.
Ah,
Ooh.
that's an oldie. That's a very oldie.
Yes. Yeah, that one's been done. That one has been started twice and never finished here. The current release is being done by, I think it's being done by Viz, and it's being done in hardback. And the last that I'd looked, they were releasing volume 13 in the next month or two. There's a total of 27 volumes, so here's hoping that they actually finish. Now, the original anime run of it, I don't recall how far it got into it, but it had 155 episodes.
Oh wow.
So it got pretty far. And, there was a 3-movie and 2 OVA release of it back about 15-ish years ago that they've been remastered and put out on Blu-ray. Those are extremely good. But I also saw recently that they are going to do a Fists of the North Star anime again.
I think I've
So
seen that.
we're
I think
getting
I've seen that
a
announcement.
new one.
I heard
Well, yeah.
something
So
about that, but I don't.
there's so many things out there. I mean, I would say since you guys in specifics, I'll list a couple. Let me think for a second here. Stuff that usually started. Stuff that started. Shit. I saw. I seen in front of me, and I don't remember the name. It was the one from a year ago where the dude would get inside. Where he would get inside the giant teddy bear mascot thing and fight other ones with powers. Forget that it was Come with a G.
But the
Gleipner. That thing is hard freaking core. That only got one season. The manga, I think the manga ended. That I'd like to see get continued. I'd like to see them go back and do Twin Star Exorcist right. Because they about halfway through, they deviated from the manga and went off into fuck you zone of we're gonna butcher the hell out of this. And the manga is still going, I think. I'm
Yes.
very, very far behind. I stopped the chapters became intermittently released for a while, and I got out of sync in reading it. But I would like to see Twin Star Exorcist get a proper complete adaptation. My white whale is Heroic Prince Arslan. That's my white whale because they started an adaptation of the current version of the manga a few years ago. They got 2.5 seasons in and then stopped it dead, but the manga was still going. That I'd really like to see that one get a film. So there's a lot of things out there. I think that's the best way we can answer that is things that either got started or stopped or got butchered, and we'd like to see put right.
Excel World's one of those like white whales for me because they have I think it was a light novel. They finally finished it, but the reason they stopped is because they wanted to go back and finish all of Sword Art Online because they're in the same universe.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, can I finally get this? Because I don't know how to get the
SAO's
manga.
done. SAO's finished.
Yeah.
The last one's out, and they're getting after they do another alternate movie, they're going to do the final arc for that. So
Yeah,
Interesting.
I just want my Excel World. That was such a good story.
So all right, thank you, Jay Fraser 360. I hope that we gave you sufficient answers. All right, back to Escaflowne. All right, let's get off the theme stuff. Let's jump to the characters. We broke it from that. Let's talk about Hitomi because I think she's the most controversial character in this.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, listen. I like Vaughn. I like Alan. They make sense to me. All the other characters kind of make sense. They all learn something. Hitomi's a borderline slut. And she's a homewrecker. That's the way I want to put it cleanly. I mean, she plays with the feelings of these boys. She is in love with her high school dude, Amano. And then as soon as she arrives in Gaia, she gets a look at Vaughn. She looks at Alan, and suddenly, her heart's all a flutter because Alan looks a little like Amano. And then
she's a teenager.
I know, but it's just it's a bad representation
painful.
of the teenager.
Yeah.
It's bad because listen, this is anime. We get teenagers all the time, especially in fantasy settings.
Way too often.
Yeah, but that's kind of the run, and you're
Yeah.
kind of happy if you get ones leaning more towards 18, 19, because at least they're out of the 15, 16 range, and you can actually think, okay, they're starting to their adult behavior is maybe possible here. But she's 16, and she's a little insufferable at times.
Hmm.
A little.
Okay,
Inexperienced,
a lot.
unable to handle the complex feelings, and
Yeah.
of course having the ability of precognition, or the the card reading, having all of that on top of everything else, just it makes her that much more difficult to grasp, or to be
Mhm.
able to like. And looking at this, the way that this show is classified is, it's classified as a shoujo show,
Mhm.
or part of it is. I typically don't gravitate towards those, and now I know why, because every time I do, I end up getting smacked with something that just, at least for me as a guy, just doesn't work. And her as a character, her being the focal point for everything, it would have worked better had they had the focal point shift to either one of the guys, either
Vaughn or
uh,
Allen.
Van or Allen. That
Yeah.
would have made a little more sense, especially with one of them being the king of
Yeah.
uh,
It
of the one land. So, but
You're right. Where it should at many times be more about Vaughn, it doesn't. Everything always comes back to Hitomi. She's always the most
Mhm.
important one. She always has to be the center of attention. Everything she has to be the reason that everything's going to work.
Bestest
God damn,
ever.
she really is a woman.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, listen, I don't usually decide what I do by whatever category or this and that show falls into. I
Yeah.
base my desire and my opinions on whether or not the characters work. And Hitomi as a character overall, in terms of her development,
Her role.
her role in the end, she doesn't work because here's the thing: this show takes place over months. It's not days, weeks, months go by. The events on Gaia,
Yeah.
and then it gets even more complicated towards the end, where she throws a hissy fit because she can't stand everybody fighting, and wishes herself back to Earth. Only when she does it, she drops herself back into the events before she teleported to Gaia. And they don't resolve
Mm.
the fact that the events on Gaia are continuing in the same moment, but she's back on Earth in her prior to the event starting. That's a problem for me. It's a problem for me because I do not like timeline inconsistencies. They don't resolve it.
It's a sign of immaturity, is really what it is.
Yeah. And I don't, and that's the thing. Vaughn, he's about her age too. I think maybe he's a little older, a year or
Yeah.
two older. Uh, he understands exactly what's going on. He behaves appropriately, and he deals with perfect example how dealing with something appropriately. The first time he went after he slaughters the dragon slayers, he had killed before, but he had never outright slaughtered anybody. And after he slaughtered the majority of the dragon slayers, except for Delandau, he kind of loses it for a minute. He loses his confidence. And Alan, and when Hitomi tries to go talk him back to himself, Alan goes, no, 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 leave him alone. This is something every swordsman has to go through. I went through it once. This is a moment where he has to come to grips with the life that he has chosen as a fighter, a warrior. It's like, but I want to talk to him. No, no, no. You have to understand it. And that's character development. Hitomi never develops, Dermy. Do you think she ever
So
develops at all by the end of it,
I
really?
think she does get some development. She does change a little bit. Whether it's
Is it enough, though?
questions around her fate things and stuff like that. I Even though the timeline thing does bother me, but I do think that timeline thing that you pointed out does lead to some development. Like, she was always wishy-washy and never committed to a guy. She ends up learning that. She's always like, "Well, I like this guy, but should I tell him I like him?" And
Mhm,
then she's looking at everything through a different perspective that whole day through a different perspective now.
mhm.
And what she
You're
picks
right.
up is her best friend
Is in love with
is in love with the guy who she thinks she loves. And she's like picking up all these cues, picking up all this stuff. And then by the end of it, she realizes she never loved that guy.
mhm.
Her heart belongs to
Vaughn.
At least I thought her heart belonged to Vaughn, but you know what? I'm saying this, and the more I'm thinking about it, is
Well,
literally I
she
think the
ups and
next
f's off at the end of the show. I mean, Brandon, when everything is all said and done, she
Mhm.
just goes back to Earth. She has the choice to stay and live a life on Gaia, but she goes back to Earth.
Peace out. Oh shit.
I'll remember you always.
Wow.
And here's the difference. Here's what's different. Here's why I like the movie better. In the movie, Hitomi is about to commit suicide when she teleports to Gaia in the movie version. And through her interactions in that movie with everybody, she learns to appreciate life.
Okay.
That you only get one life. And in that final moment where she realizes, I want to stay here with Vaughn, I want to be with him, then she blips back to Earth, not of her own accord, but the fate says, sorry, nope, you go back now that you've found what you're looking for internally. And that's
That makes a lot
bittersweet
more
thing.
sense.
Yeah, that's why the movie's better.
I should have watched the movie and
you should
not-
still watch the movie. I think you'll
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah, that sounds like a much better flow
It's
to it.
it's much better production. It's got that movie animation quality to it. It's beautiful.
I was also just sitting here, I thought maybe she did have character growth or something like that, but I'm
Not
pretty sure like very shortly after, her coming to grips with I love Vaughn, she then starts trying to figure out, do I like Alan or do I like Vaughn? Do I like Alan? Do I like Vaughn? And it's not until the end when she finally says, "Oh my god,
Last two
I love
episodes,
Vaughn."
they wait.
And then but then you're like, but you already figured out that you love Vaughn.
Now, Brandon, you can appreciate this as someone who understands this type of 90s stuff. It's the classic 90s thing. I'm not going to resolve the romance till the final episode and a half. Then we resolve it, and we get no time to see the relationship in action. And I hate
to see the consequences. Yeah,
I hated that in the 90s, where it took 24 episodes of a couple to get together, if that was an aspect of a show, and then we don't get to see the actual relationship in any way, shape, or form. It's just, okay, sorry, it's done. We're gone. See you later. Bye.
It's my same issue with Gundam G. Like, other than a new power that comes out of nowhere, G Gundam does the exact same thing.
That's fucking G Gundam, and you know it. You love it.
I love it, but the same thing happens, and that's my biggest complaint is you finally get together on the very last episode, and then it's over. God damn it. Let me see how this goes. Let me have
give
this.
me a little bit. Give me something. And so usually that's the show of, I really like these characters, I want to see more. In this case, I feel this is shoddy storytelling. It's I feel as though the final parts of this show were rushed.
Oh, yeah.
That they're just rushing to get to this conclusion. So that, because you've got only the 26 episodes or 25?
26 episodes.
26.
Yeah,
We've got only these 26 episodes, which in some cases is plenty, but in this case, it feels those last 5-6 episodes, it's just we're racing to the finish line.
Well, there's an entire episode that they skip. They don't do an entire episode. It's the
Invasion of Afraid.
Alan's, Invasion of Afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be an Invasion of Afraid. They don't show you that battle.
Just show them escaping.
They show you the buildup. They go like, "Oh, this is gonna be epic," and then they go to the escape, and you're like, "There's a goddamn battle missing here. What?"
Yeah, and they showed it. Thing is, they showed it in the preview. They showed it in the preview, and they didn't actually. I gotta admit, I went back and said, "Wait, did I miss something here?" Oh,
that's what I was. Because when we did Outlaw Star, I knew my website that I went through was missing a bunch of episodes. I never actually.
But that was because of the American censorship back in the day, because they didn't want to show Asia's boobies.
Well, I could get that episode, but because they moved episodes in weird ways and stuff like that, I was having a hard time like figuring out everything. So I thought, did I skip a fucking episode? No, they just don't do an episode.
Yep.
And now when you said its main focal point is around Hitomi, I think that's why, because she wasn't there for the battle and they just left.
Yep.
So fuck that.
Yep.
Even though I had a character there I really liked.
Yeah, that was it. Again, I said something I say all the time on driving when Jed and I are breaking things apart. We can like these things, but we're being objective in these conversations and we're pointing out strengths and weaknesses. Now, these are the things that are wrong with it. What I do like about the story is that it embraces a medieval fantasy setting. and it doesn't apologize for it all. Multiple races of creatures, monsters are out there, dragons, fantasy mechs that we talked about that happen to work there, and even that weird combination of science and magic. It works because you get the explanation of what Isaac Newton did to bring it about. He combined alchemy with this world's magic to create the science sorcery that he comes up with. And it fits and it works and that builds it. And the problem is I want more to this lore. I really like the idea when this is something that Japan does all the time. They'll take bits and pieces of mythology from around the world and they'll just drop it in there. Hey, let's do an Atlantis thing because they use Atlantis all the time. Let's do Atlantis. Let's drop it in there. They call the frozen continent to the north, they call it Asgard to the north, where the Mystic Valley, the entrance of Mystic Valley is. I like this. I want to see more of this world. And I enjoy the political intrigue aspects.
Yeah.
And I wanted more of that. But
the focus of this was off. Had they focused less on Hitomi and more on the world building and, as you said, the political intrigue, more the Game of Thrones-esque type of stuff, it would have worked a lot better. Yeah. And there's a part of me that feels like that what you're describing is it suffers from the Evangelion effect. You ran out of money. That's probably what happened.
A possibility.
Because that was fairly common, I guess, back at that time. So,
and also Evangelion, the problem that Hideki Anno lost his mind at the end.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was just eternally depressed, and then when he's not depressed, everything goes to shit. So.
I don't want to talk Rebuild. I do not want to talk Rebuild. Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion.
Nothing exists beyond the original, and we'll just leave it there.
All right, slight tangent. Rebuild had such potential.
Yeah.
And then it just falls off a cliff for me.
Yep.
Falls off but when they get to the third movie, at the end of the second movie, it just falls off a cliff and you think, okay, we're going to get Third Advent. It's going to whatever, third
Third Impact.
Third Impact, thank you. I was thinking of Advent Children for Final Fantasy. That's my problem. Third Impact, we're going to get a redo Third Impact where maybe Shinji's going to man up and Asuka's not going to go through what she goes through at End of Eva this time. But nope. Shinji shits the bed again. And then we get a complete deconstruction of everything that used to be great about it. Another time.
That's a discussion for another time because I have my own world of it. My only thing with
I know we've touched on this before.
It's very convoluted. The only thing with Evangelion that I say is Shinji should never got him with big boob chick because who the fuck is she?
That was all right. Again, all right, small tangent. That is simply because, and we accept it because that's what's great about the show. We will take the tangents when they happen, because we are weebs. The problem is that she reflects Hideki Anno's current day wife who helped him resolve his issues. And he sees her as the healthy relationship as opposed to Asuka, which is the unhealthy relationship. Even though Shinji and Asuka as a pairing back in the day, I loved it because it was two broken people finding a way to fix each other with what each one was missing. And that's what made that good. But no, we're not going to get that ever. So, but yeah. And at least if they had built up, the glasses chick with the big boobs. At least they had built her up and given her a proper move into it as to why it works. Maybe I could accept it, but there was no development for it.
Yeah, and I can agree with that. But long discussion for another time.
Yes, it's another time, and not even related to we're going to actually watch it because I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to do that.
I'll make you watch it again.
I got a little something to share. If for all of you Xeon fans out there,
yes,
Jeremy can appreciate this one.
Yes,
Sig Xeon.
At least you didn't bring up a whole Evangelions are just like Attack on Titan biomex.
Oh yes.
Look at that broken for a second there. He doesn't want to hear what I just said.
Yeah, I don't want to hear what you just said because
I don't believe it. I'm just saying
I know you don't believe it, but I might have picked a war with Gal and she's bringing it up. And
hey, that's your own goddamn fault today, dude. That is your own goddamn fault picking a fight with Gal. All right, you did that all on your own. I didn't even make any sort of instigation because I was either sleeping or
I woke up and chose
covering Halo.
violence.
So
I woke up and chose violence.
When do you not wake up and choose violence?
Well, that's a good point. It's
Yeah,
either Gal or Cloud
or
I pick
me,
a fight with.
or me,
Or you.
or me.
Me and
You know,
your
the o-
fights always are probably the most entertaining.
Well, that's because one, I don't really take them seriously, and two,
Yeah.
let's be honest, we do know how to push each other's buttons at
Yeah.
this point. So, and the reaction we each get from the other one is exactly as planned.
Yeah.
Or if I do take it seriously, we go. It goes hardcore, and then
When I'm picking on Cloud, it feels like I'm
yes.
beating up a baby seal.
Let's leave Cloud alone.
I know. When I'm picking on Gal, I realize why the fuck am I going up against this? Oh,
yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't do that. And
why do you never go up against boobs?
Vinziger, you are not going to get a disagreement with me. I am looking forward to the movie. I can't watch it at least for another couple months until it comes out on Blu-ray, but I think it just came out or it's about to come out, and I'm very excited because it's the third chapter to Seed, and that's my favorite Gundam.
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
You haven't seen it yet.
No, but I know what the designs are.
They're glorious, dude. You know they're glorious. They look like Gundams. They're great.
I can give you that.
They look like Gundams. They're not fucking not a girl from Mercury, bitch from Mercury. Those
I tried watching that show and I stopped after 4 episodes. I said nope. It's too much like how most every other show is these days. I don't care about it. Made me not care about the damn Gundams. I wanted to see the Gundam battles, and I didn't get
they
any.
weren't good because they weren't Gundams. They weren't Gundams. That was the thing, and also that whole story. But it had a chance before it went to season 1, part 2. Then
and they blew
and Dermy was holding out such hope. He was grasping so hard that it was going to work itself out. And then I watched him over real time as he was watching it over a couple of days. I watched his little boy heartbreak.
No, that sucks.
He was so sad.
Yeah.
And I was vindicated because I said, dude, it sucks. Like, it can't suck. It was doing all right. Nope, it sucks. It went bad.
Doesn't exist. Never happened. Never moving
no,
forward.
It didn't.
Last Gundam series was Iron Blood Orphan. I'll take that. I'll take my depressing show.
Anyway, let's wrap up Escaflowne. All right, Dermy, what are your positives about the show? Because I don't want people to remember we do like this. This is something that I enjoy and I intend to own one day. But what are your positives about it?
My positives are Vaughn. I really like Vaughn as a character. I like some of his arcs when we get it. I wish we could have focused more on Vaughn and even his brother and how they kind of connect, because some of that stuff doesn't flow very well. I wish we and this isn't a negative, because I also really liked the dragon, blah blah. Can't say it.
What?
Dragon? No, the dragon.
Escaflowne.
Vaughn's people. Draconians. I like the draconian aspect, the past Atlanteans and stuff like that. I like some of the aspects of the world. The political intrigue was, I think, fantastic. It also led to my personal favorite character, even if he's only in 2 episodes, King of Alan's son's adopted dad.
The Duke of Freyde.
Yeah, the Duke of Freyde, who is one of my favorite fucking characters in that whole thing. We only get him for 2 episodes, and I'm like, God damn, I love this dude. Because he felt like there was I did discover there was one thing missing from the show, and it feels disgusting to say, is a tint of masculinity.
I think that's because the animation design, the animation style, it's a weird animation style. When I first watched it, their noses, I couldn't not look at their noses. And eventually,
I don't think it was the noses. It was something about just
there's no
beauty coming in.
There's no beauty.
I'll disagree.
Women to me aren't beautiful in this. They're not beautiful.
I can agree with that, but there was something about having just a man come in and take charge. Something that, like, I could see Vaughn potentially doing this,
but Alan seemed
just a little. Yeah, he was just a kid. Alan never felt like that commanding leader to me, and actually, my other favorite character died in the first episode.
Balgus.
Second episode.
Balgus is your classic badass giant sword that can cut a guy in half.
Yes, Malgus and the Duke of Frey, these were just two uber masculine guys that
Yeah.
when you did get anything with them, it kind of felt good. You had somebody taking charge. Even when you got to the leader of where Alan's from, he was some fat jackass who was playing that political game to get ahead his way and stabbing everybody in the back just to empower and enrich himself. And it was like, you're a jackass. Fuck off. And then you get this just decent. He's not like a beast of a man. He's not uber buff or anything. He wants to lead his people good.
And he
He
knows
cares
that
about
his
Yeah.
son isn't his son. He knows.
he
that
knows his son
is-
isn't his son,
Yeah.
but he loves that kid
Yeah.
and he wants the best for that kid and wants to leave that kid into the future. And once we got done with Freyd, it's like, can I go back there? I was actually kind of liking this stuff.
Mhm.
So, and I did like we said the villain place. I can never remember its
Zybok.
fucking name. I like Zybok, and I like some of the stuff there, even with the
It's your-
craziness of Sir Isaac Newton being the one that
It's your
leads it all.
classic industrial villain
Mhm.
country is what it is. And they did that a lot in the 90s. They always had the industrial villain country, had that look to it, and it worked like that. And what I will say also is I do like the fact that the animation was clean. They didn't reuse a lot of images for stuff. The only thing they reused is when Alan on Sherazad dives out of the sky to attack. That's the only thing that gets reused over and over again. Other combat animations, it's all fresh and a fresh animation cell every time.
Ooh, last thing. The final, even though it makes no sense that they started fighting, the final battle between Alan and Vaughn was beautiful.
Yeah. It's a stupid reason to
Oh.
fight, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't know how
Brandon-
they started fighting, but it was
Well, it's because it was their desire to beat each other. Because it was that competition. Because Vaughn always wanted to be better than Alan, and Alan was jealous that Hitomi chose Vaughn or some shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way. Brandon, from what you saw, what did you like about it? And as I said, since we've been complaining a lot, what did you like about the show?
I like the mechs. Yeah. I know the animation for the time is fine.
Mhm.
Although looking back on it now, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
The overall story of the TV show, to me, it felt a bit convoluted there at the beginning, and some of the characters they're there and they don't do much, like little cat girl. She's
Merle is the most annoying
yes.
fucking character in the world.
Hitomi and her, they're both annoying as hell.
Yeah.
And had they been removed from this series, it probably would have improved it probably by about three points.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Merle had a chance to fucking grow when they introduced gold and silver bitches.
But they didn't. She didn't.
yeah.
She
To me, it just seems like this whole thing, even though I know it's vastly loved and beloved, there just feels like so many missed opportunities within the story, especially in the story, that could have just made this so much better, and had it escalated itself above the status that it is. As I said,
it's a classic, but it's
Yeah.
not. It doesn't reach the upper stratosphere of the rankings from that era.
no, it doesn't.
And because I think, and again, back, tell me what you think of this, Brandon. That is a flaw of a lot of shows from that era.
Yeah.
A convoluted nature, a rush job, a lack of connectivity for its narrative. So is that a fair thing to say?
I think so.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking, and I know there's exceptions to this because Cowboy Bebop exists. People love that. There's I think Ninja Scroll was from that time too.
That's just a
little
movie.
earlier.
That's a movie. That's a movie.
Okay, movie.
Different-
Well,
different category.
So when it comes to the shows, I wonder if it was more of a mainstay to have shows that are kind of like this storytelling. That it's a little rushed, it feels kind of convoluted, but people accepted it for what it was. And then as time's gone on and anime's gotten more advanced, better storytelling, things of that nature, they look back at it and they realize it wasn't as good as we thought it was.
Let me throw this out to you. I mean, we know it's not my cup of tea because I'm not into super dark fantasy or misery porn. Berserk comes out of that era, and you love Berserk.
Mhm.
Oh yes. Yeah,
I
that's
would
a
say
show. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I'd say Berserk is in that category, similar to said it earlier, Cowboy Bebop. But there are issues even with the Berserk anime. Tons
Oh
of
yeah,
issues.
there are issues with it. It didn't get continued. That's my biggest problem
That's
with
the
it.
yeah.
You know, they've covered the Golden Age arc 3 times now.
I know, haven't they?
They've had that 2 season monstrosity from a few years ago. I don't even remember which arcs they cover. And we're finally now, through an independent production company, finally getting the Black Swordsman arc. So we're finally getting some new Berserk anime, but it took a
That's
while.
one of those ones that did transcend and broke the mold of that kind of thing in the 90s. But that's also because of its source material.
Yeah.
And how
Mhm.
detailed it was. And also, I would say,
And
because the fan following to it.
there was a fan following, and also with that anime itself, there was some storylines that they had to cut out and they couldn't do because it is so freaking graphic.
Nowadays, they
Like,
get away with that shit, though.
Nowadays, they could honestly do it. Like, if they, I know we're gonna get the Black Swordsman arc, like Brandon said. I do kind of wish we could finally just get a proper telling of the whole thing and show. It's not Black Dogs. Like during the Golden Age arc, there's one story that I think all 3 times they've missed, which is when they just got Griffith. They're running away. The kingdom releases this hunting pack of people after them, and it's led by their own personal demon. That is a monster of a man. And he viciously is just a beast. He's murdering people. He finds this random family, murders them, rapes the daughter, and then eats the daughter. And there's just these dark things that I wish they would show.
See,
Yeah,
that's interesting because that's the type of stuff that they could have done that years ago. I don't see them being able to do that now. See, I'm the reverse of that. They could have done that. They could have gotten away with that in an OVA, either in the 80s or even
Yes.
still into the 90s. There's no way in hell they could get away with any of that now because of how Crunchyroll has their tentacles into
No,
everything. That whole side of things. Yeah, they could have done it, but I guess even back then, like,
I forgot about
nope.
the Crunchyroll aspect.
Well, all right, that's a good tangent. So in the end,
Yeah.
Escaflowne, listen, I like it. I recommend watching it. It's not a perfect anime, but it is a classic. And it's back then there was few and far between good fantasy anime. That's one of the
That's
reasons
true.
it held on, because there was something that was fantasy, and those of us who only really wanted to watch fantasy, we gravitated to it. And it's easy to access. It's not hard to access, but maybe that's part of its flaws. The fact that it's so easy, it's not overly complicated, but it does get needlessly nonsensical towards the end. So I do recommend it, but I'd recommend the movie more. The movie is better. But
And I
you
started
guys,
watching the movie.
you guys mentioned that tentacles of people who should not be involved in anime whatsoever. So this is our second topic of tonight.
Jamie Markey. No.
I came across this article last week, and I held on to it thinking, okay, this is great. Second topic. Who here likes One Piece? I love my One Piece.
One Piece? Yeah.
Yes, I love my One Piece.
I have
been watching, reading it for over 20 years now. I'm doing my current rewatch now in the middle of Punk Hazard, where I am right now. But I'm taking it nice and slow, not running through it quickly. One Piece, since the live action, and we're not going to talk live action, I'm just saying, since live action, it has taken on a whole new life for a lot of normies and anime normies. They're watching, doing it. But it also has allowed the goddamn tourists to weigh in. And I came across this article, and using One Piece as an example, this is why we got to gatekeep the shit out of things. Look at this. One Piece just missed a big chance to fix a huge Nami and Robin issue.
Oh my God, no.
You know where this is going already, don't you?
Screen rant.
Well, yeah,
I didn't even read this article when you sent it to me, And I'm just reading the headline now. It's like, I know where
I
this
know.
is going. This is the exact same thing they did with the gamer this week. Fuck this shit. No.
The One Piece series is known for its gripping storytelling, but Robin and Nami's egghead outfits highlight a feature that may push new fans away. Okay, 1 second though. Let me turn off my no script so that we do not get so they show the imagery so we can see it. Now, here's the thing. Dermy, you're not currently on egghead. You're not that far in. Oops, god damn it, killed it.
So they're
you're
not
not-
going to be asking to make him lesbians. Okay.
No. Brandon, how far are you in One Piece? I want to make sure I don't accidentally. I want to
Episode
know where.
195. I just
Okay.
finished Skypiea.
Okay, so you are way back. So
Yep.
Let's just say I will refrain from spoilers of this, but here are their outfits, and as you can see, Robin, time skip Robin, who is one of my favorite waifus of all time. Time skip Robin has my heart. She is best girl. The goods are on display. You can
Better
see
outfit than what I've been seeing.
Yes.
The outfits on Egghead Island for the ladies were just top notch. Oda outdid himself, but tourists like Shilrain here, and who wrote this? Jason Hahn. Male feminist tourists like this guy aren't happy.
He's a little bitch is what he is.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's do
Bitch
another-
made.
One Piece's Egghead Island arc contains some incredible battles and heartbreaking plot twists, but also a surprising amount of fan service that could push new fans away.
Good.
Yeah. We don't even need to go any farther.
No.
This is exactly where we need to stop because it's exactly the problem that these fake fan tourists bring into this. They are not real fans of anything. They're goddamn SJW woke tards who don't like the actual female body on display. Because one thing you got to say about Oda, he draws the female form. Curves out the wazoo.
Was it this month or was it last month when Jules, the chick with, not spoiling too much, but HH fruit, when they had
Jewelry
that whole,
Bonnie?
Yeah, Jewelry Bonnie, when that whole disaster happened.
Yeah, that
Or
was
disaster.
that was 2 months ago when the arc started. When the animated Egghead arc
Was that
started.
really 2 months ago?
It's been a couple months. I
I feel like it was
last.
I feel like
It was last year. It was last year.
I could have swore that whole controversy started just like last month, but you had this whole controversy break out because they drew her in a topless.
They drew her in her current form.
Yeah,
because I got to be careful
Oh,
for
yeah.
spoilers right now. In her current form,
And
and
I've read about it. So
okay,
I'm
so you,
aware.
all right, so you know, all right, so Bonnie is actually 12 years old.
Yeah.
It was a theory for a long time in the circles of One Piece, and Oda confirmed it about 4 or 5 months ago, about 3-4 months ago in the manga, and it can reveal that the fruit she ate or was given allows her to change her age and change the age of others. So when she went out to sea, without spoiling things, she chose to look the same as Nami, essentially the same age as Nami. Nami at this point is 19 years old in the current arc. So she remains that physical age all the time, essentially. And once that news got out, and in the anime, this hasn't been revealed yet. So the anime is recreating actual frames from the manga where she and Luffy and Zoro are getting disinfected on their way into Egghead Island, or maybe it was Luffy and Jinbei. They get disinfected.
Luffy and Jinbei.
Yeah, Jinbei, and they're all naked. And it's, listen, Oda's fan service has always been, I'm going to show you a ton of cleavage, I'll show you a little ass, and a lot of leg. I'm never going to show you nipple. You're never, of course, going to see full-on crotch. But it's, and if you do see bare titty, like with Boa Hancock, the hair will cover it. Her hair will suddenly be covering the nipple. Classic anime trick. Bonnie's sitting there cross-legged, butt naked. Her hair is covering everything important, but she's basically naked. It's a full fan service fest. And at the moment, you don't know she's a 12-year-old girl masking as an 18-year-old girl in an 18-year-old girl's body.
Mm-hmm.
And as Jeremy pointed out, they went nuts over that. The tourists went nuts. So now they're doubling down saying, oh no, fan service is bad. Guess what? Fan service isn't bad. It's just that fan service. If you can't handle the fact that anime shows off beautiful women in beautiful art, that's a you goddamn problem, and maybe, just maybe, you should stay the hell out of our hobby. How about
Well,
that?
not only that, but then when it came out that you know what her age was, people started saying, "Oh, you're just a pedo. You're a pedo. You're a pedo." And then the artists even
Yeah.
they were even going after the artist,
Yeah.
and it's like the artist all he even said, "All I did was animated. I don't know what's going on in the story. I just drew it."
Yeah. And the
So
thing
he didn't
is,
even know.
you're not a you're if we were all appreciating her at the time, not knowing she was a 12-year-old girl, we're appreciating her in the form of an adult body with bazongas out to here and hips and legs and ass. No one's appreciating her in her child form.
Except
It- it-
Vosh.
yeah, well, we get into that. Listen, there are no horses involved here.
Oh, good
All
point.
right.
Good point.
No horses involved. That's one thing you can get away with in One Piece. No horses involved. But so this just pissed me off when I saw this, because it's what I'm seeing across everywhere. These tourists, they roll in, and I know this is shill rant. It's a fake freaking site. These people have about this much legitimacy to anything they publish, but they are sometimes the window through which the normies might read something, and it pisses me off that these are the people who are trying to describe themselves as real fans when in fact they're not fans of anything. I very much doubt that was Jason Hahn could pick out a favorite moment from One
He'll
Piece and tell
Wikipedia
you
it.
why. Yeah.
No, tell you why is a different aspect.
Yeah, can't tell you why. I mean, there's a reason I use I Want to Live at the end of my intro for this show, because that is one of my all-time favorite moments. After learning Robin's backstory and everything, I that moment still, I still get misty-eyed at that. It gets me right here because it is a culmination of events, and and One Piece does that regularly. Has break your heart moments, break your heart. It gets even worse in the time skip where they just crush your heart a lot. And these people can't do that. These people can't. Well, that's pre-time skip, but these people can't do that. They have no substance, and that's what pisses me off the most. And they parade themselves. I hate tourists because they call us the problem because we have knowledge and love and passion.
Because they would just want to weasel their way in there and start changing it for what they want. And to be honest, as much as it was a good show, I hated it as an adaptation. The One Piece live action has allowed for this to become more and more of a thing, and the more popularity that One Piece has gotten has allowed more tourists to get in there and try to start saying, "Well, we want to do it this way. We want to do this way." You know, it's not that big of a deal if we do this or that. A good example of this actually comes in the form of Avatar's live action. Don't have your original creators there anymore. They get rid of sexism, and then it doesn't really make sense how Aang frees himself from the iceberg. Because in the anime, well,
Just
Western
go.
anime,
I'm not going to nitpick. Just go.
yeah, in the anime, it was because Katara was freaking out over the sexism that Sokka was giving her. She loses control over water bending. Iceberg rage comes out of the ocean, gets cracked because of the water, and then it frees Aang and Appa. And this just breaks open because I smell girl. I don't know. She's water bending, but not in the direction of that. So
Listen, I have to keep according to my poll. If you have guys that voted on it, go to the community tab, vote on the poll. How I'm going to handle the remainder of One Piece live action. You have until Monday to decide and influence the vote. That's another example of tourists.
Mm-hmm.
When that came out last week or 2 weeks ago, it was 2 weeks ago now.
that
2 weeks
last
ago.
week.
It was. Yeah, we're still in this
It was
week.
last
Whatever.
Thursday.
Yeah, it was last week. God, that feels like forever ago. You're right. Because I did it on Friday. I did episode 1 on Friday. When it came out last week, suddenly everybody had an opinion. And isn't that the way how this happens? Something which was successful in its own right and has a true fan base suddenly it gets a monochrome of Western attention, or like with One Piece, or it breaks out of its niche. Because let's be honest, Avatar: Last Airbender was niche. It wasn't something widely known to the normies. Something gets out, and suddenly everybody on next Twitter has an opinion, and that's the tourists. Now, the question is, how much of that is paid shillery, and how much it is the woke tards just trying to own the chuds, as they always say.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B most of the time. What I think it is tourists get in, people that don't understand like the actual story, understand the actual lore. They start saying, "Hey, this is good, this is good, this is good," but they don't bother to go look at the actual story or the actual lore. And I'm not trying to shit on him. He's not here to defend himself. Adam, Soldier Spirit, Adam, different Adam. He loved One Piece live action. Watched it like 3 different times. He can't watch the anime because he hates it. He doesn't like how it's done. He hates every aspect of it, but he loves the live action. So then he kind of craps on the reasons why I don't like it.
But
Well,
the reasons you don't like it, and we've talked about this in depth on
Mhm.
this show, is while the characters are right, things are missing. And you have the same problems I have. You don't like the way they truncated the story and moved things around.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my problem. Now, I gave it a 6.5, because I said it still works. I could still call it One Piece because, one, Oda Sensei was involved, and two, the characters are still the same characters. And that's the difference between Avatar and One Piece. Avatar, those characters are not even those characters anymore. It's the same events, but no characters. One Piece may have altered the events somewhat, but the characters are still the same flavor, even if
Mhm.
Nami's not as obnoxious and money grubbing as she is right away in the anime and the manga. But it's still there and it still has that purity to it. And also, people who are enjoying it, for the most part, are migrating to the anime and the manga. They've
Yes,
migrated.
that's true. I did check the a few weeks ago on my Saturday show. I did pull up the overall sales numbers for manga for 2023.
Mhm.
Yeah, One Piece #1 was up there from if I remember
Mhm.
correctly. So
And that's something I always used to like to bring up whenever I was during that period of time where I was always bringing up Google Trends when that was a thing we were all doing. Uh, One Piece was always my gold standard for consistency
mhm.
for decades on how it is just always just never dipping, because it has been a standard of desirability and quality.
Mhm.
And I'm not surprised that with live action, it did spike again, because suddenly it did. Oda, I've said this before and I'll say it again, Oda accomplished his dream. He wanted to bridge the normies. He wanted to get them in here, and he did it. And then it's our job as weebs, as fans of anime, to now help guide them, because that's what we love to do. We love to bring people in and tell them all this awesome stuff. That's why I very carefully, though, say, now that you're into this stuff. Now, unfortunately, I would always say, if you're new to anime, One Piece is not where you want to start your adventure, because
Yeah, no.
that was the problem. That was the problem with a lot of people complaining about One Piece. Oh my God, over 1,000 chapters, over 1,000 episodes. Whatever shall I do? And it's just, dude, they're only 22-minute episodes. You can knock out 3 in an hour. And sometimes they go farther on. Sometimes it's actually 19 minutes an episode, because there becomes a standard as you get farther and farther on. The first 4 to 6 minutes is
Recap.
recap plus opener. And it's just, wow, there's really only 19 minutes of episode, really. And they did that also because the show was catching up to the anime, to the manga, so a lot, and therefore filler had to happen. They had to stretch things out. They had to maybe not cover as much per episode. I got that. That reached its peak for me during the Dressrosa arc, where it's like, oh my God, nothing happened because you recapped too much. But I accept it, because I've read the anime. I mean, I read the manga, so I know where it's going. Hail Kratos or Kratos. Yeah, things like FMA Brotherhood is not something I would say is even. I wouldn't say that's a starter either, because I mean, Dermy, I think disagrees with me on that. I think we've disagreed on that before
Mhm.
because I think the themes and at a 64 episode count, I feel like that's still too much for an anime noob to want to wade
The
into.
and the reason I've said it's a good starter is it kind of breaks the stereotype of what an anime is.
Yeah. There's arguments to
'Cause
be made on both sides.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
I,
like, there's fan service, but it's actually kinda minimum. There's, it's a darker story, it's not kid-friendly whatsoever, and it just breaks what you
okay.
thought anime was.
Like after the time skip, there's not the most fan service you get in FMA Brotherhood is lust boobs jiggle sometimes.
Mhm.
And there's this one moment after the 3-month time skip where Rinri comes back to Rizenbull and finds Ed in her room. She's about to get undressed, and you get half a second of Winry underboob.
Well, there's
That's
that,
it.
and then there's, Hawkeye in the shower.
That's yeah, okay. That's
Mhm.
see, I don't see Beefcake doesn't register as fan service to me because I'm not looking
Okay.
for it. And it's just okay, dude ass, man ass, blocking out man ass. Uh but no, Clifton. No, no,
I mean, you
no.
can.
Yeah, but that's
It's better
Oh,
than
yeah,
Boku no
we've
Pico.
yeah.
Clifton's he's my editor for
Yeah.
the videos that we do, and yeah, we've tainted him pretty
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
So let's round this out because Brandon, I see you got to go now.
Yeah.
So these the tourists, they're a problem. They're going to continue to be a problem because anime is one of these last bastions. Anime and manga are one of the last bastions that the SJWs have failed to break through to. Because every time they get a little bit in there, something seems to happen and they just get shoved right back. They don't get their traction. They don't get a
Yeah.
foothold. So Brandon, why don't you give some closing words on this, and then you could say your farewells.
Well, what I've seen of One Piece so far, I love it. I do like the original animation style personally. I prefer it over the newer one, but that's me being a bit weird. But as far as a show, if you're going to recommend something for someone to get started with, I really liked Reincarnated as a Sword.
That was a good one.
It's a
That
great manga.
surprised me how good it was.
Yes, it's really good, and
Season
are
2's
getting-
coming out soon, though. You know that?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, we are getting the second season. There's a few others.
Mhm.
There's a part of me that wants to say go back to the beginning, go to the classics, but watching Lady Oscar, The Rose of Versailles, or Space Adventure Cobra, they're not easy to watch. Even back then, they're very heavy in their subject matter in comparison to some of the other stuff. So it's one of those
It's
things.
rough.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it can be.
I'm
Even
gonna
though those
have
two are great shows.
even though the very first episode of this show was an anime starter guide. I kind of want to do that because one of the co-hosts that I had at that point, it was a little rough, and it was the first time this show we did the first episode. So I might still stick to what I said there, but I feel as though we need to have that discussion again, make some lists, put them out there, and show people how you started. Because what I did, I divided it into categories and which ones would fit best with starter. And one of my always things, and I think our friend Vinzer put it up here. To me, there should be certain amount of episodes that start people on. Something that doesn't feel threatening in terms of volume, like something I
Zom
like.
100.
Oh God! Newsflash, we're watching that next month. Yeah.
See, I tried watching Zom 100 and I couldn't do it.
I skipped it because the shills were slobbering over it, both good and bad. I'm like, well, they're talking that way about it. I want nothing to do with it. But Dermy here is exercising his right of choice and making me watch it next month. So
It's actually really good. After how far did you get into it, anime guy?
What was that?
How far did you get into it?
I got 3 episodes in and I'm like, no. I typically don't do zombie shows too well, so
It was a different type of zombie show. I think
Yeah.
if you keep chugging along, you would start seeing like what some of the charm is in it.
I mean,
yeah. And as far as hold on one second.
no problem. I'll say, well,
Excuse me. There we go.
Okay.
If I was there are several shows that I do have on my easy to watch, easy to get into fantastic, would be a good first anime or manga to read, and Clifton's got it there. Assassination Classroom is one of them.
I wasn't a fan of
Yeah.
Assassination Classroom. I didn't like it.
I absolutely
It
love
gets
it.
pretty good.
Yeah,
mean,
it does
I-
get really good. But
I watched it and then I started watching and then I dipped out. But then when the manga was ending, I quickly burned through it to see how it ended. And I was like, yeah, not my thing. Not my thing.
yeah, but at least there's two things we can say about it.
Yeah.
It has a completion in the books and it has a completion in the anime. It actually finishes the way it should.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that's a rarity.
And that's one of my recommendations. Always choose something. If you're starting somebody off on anime, give them something that has closure.
Yeah.
Give them a nice pocket series that starts and ends, and hopefully one that has the real ending, not a butchered ending, as we've mentioned already,
exactly.
because that's important.
I know this one's probably a little controversial, but I did say Dragon Ball. Not Z,
Original.
not Super, not GT,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
GT doesn't exist. GT doesn't exist. No, not real.
Yeah, GT is the
GT.
Toriyama
Sensei.
stepchild.
Toriyama Sensei didn't create it, therefore it's not legitimate.
Exactly.
They're very simple.
Or I also let's see what else.
One of my favorites that I have on my list is Record of Lotus War, OAV.
You see, I've almost finished that. I'm at
Oh.
10 episodes in. I've never finished it before, so I've got only 3 more to go.
The
But,
original 12 are great, and then I do recommend watching Chronicles of Rowan Knight because that follows the light novels more,
Mhm.
and it continues and it goes forward. But don't watch the dub. The dub is atrocious. Watch the subs. It really was horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think my
And I do
problem is
recommend
with when it comes to recommending anime is I just jumped headfirst in, so that's what I usually tell people to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And anything from Rumiko Takahashi is always on my list. I absolutely love Ranma. I love Yorosei Yatsura, both the old and the new. She's there's a reason why she's been the most successful female mangaka ever.
True. Very
So.
true.
Mhm.
Very true. All right. Well, Brandon, it was a pleasure having you here.
Yes,
and,
thank you.
You want to
It's a
promote
pleasure.
anything on the way out?
Let's see. Yes, this Saturday, Anime 101. I've got special guest Hypnotic coming
Ooh.
to town.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be a good conversation. Of course, I've got Dermy showing up here in, I believe, 2 weeks or thereabouts, and
Yes.
I've got a few more times that I need to get booked, and almost have a full schedule for the month of March, and I'm going to really try to do a daily stream for playing games that are made in Japan, because when it goes to those, they typically just are better. So right now my game list is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, Tales of Symphonia.
Yeah. Oh, Tales of Symphonia. No, I never played Tales of Symphonia. I played other Tales games, just not that one.
I've got Nier Replicant and Nier Automata. Pal World.
Hey.
Yeah, I've got Pal World. I haven't played it yet, but I'm going to play it.
Yeah, we're
And,
on a break because our server doesn't want to behave itself.
And I'm going to play the PSP version of Persona 3.
I know people who are hardcore Persona fans. Never really was my thing, but they are hardcore on that one.
I want to get into it.
Yeah, Persona is really good, and they're actually supposed to be redoing Shin Megami Tensei, the 5th one of it, before they split it off into, or went more with the Persona name as opposed to the Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. But yeah, I got the games to play. I just need to just sit down, do it, stick to the times, and have some fun with it. Besides talking anime and talking games and watching this season. I didn't start off with as many shows this season.
I haven't even. I'm waiting another 2 weeks before.
Well,
I start
let's
the
put it this
season,
way.
so.
This season is the season of degeneracy and the season of absolute freaking palate cleanser cuteness.
Last check, I think I had 15 shows that are on my list for this season. I still need to actually. I know everybody was going crazy over that Fearin show.
Yeah,
That-
Freyrin is fantastic.
Farron, I was waiting till it was done. That's my thing now, because I have so much going on these days. I kind of just wait till the season's done, and then I just do my marathon. I'll go through all 12 of it. And since Fearin was 26 episodes, 25 episodes, 28. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was just waiting till it's done, and then I was going to get into it. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to next season. Season 3 of Reincarnated as a Slime is on the way.
Slime Isekai's
Finally.
coming back.
Yes.
But from the past season that carried over to this one, Freyrin, Apothecary Diaries, and Shangri-La Frontier. They're fantastic. They're A tier, S tier level type shows.
Okay.
And then new this season that I've kept, Dungeon Meshi or Delicious in Dungeon.
I've heard about that one.
That's fun,
We'll talk about
fantastic.
that one.
Our first 70s-esque super gay mecha show, Brave Bong Bravern. Bravern is so gay, but it's so fun. It's an excellent mecha show. It's actually really good, but as I said, they really play up the double entendres and everything, and that's what makes it funny.
That's what works. We're hoping in the future to go over more picks and early picks and final picks of seasons, but Dermy's usually behind, and now with the way I'm changing looking at it, I'm also usually behind now myself. So I've kind of moved away from promising that.
I try to stay current. I've actually, because of trying to do this and trying to watch some of the other stuff and things that have happened, I'm behind by about 4 episodes, but I try to keep up within one week. So I've got some binging to do.
I just want to enjoy something in its entirety right away. Basically because I subject myself to so much shit that usually after a month or two of crap, then suddenly I find I'm at the end of an anime season, and that means I've got probably 100 episodes worth of stuff to just dive into, and it cleans me. It heals my soul.
Yeah, my palate cleanser is actually Star Trek, and only from 66 to 05. Anything else is uncivilized.
Well, we might have to get you on Engage one day once we're up and running.
Oh yeah, again, I love Star Trek.
All right.
Oh yeah. Carl's right. Bravern equals 70 super robot anime plus 90s Yusha Brave series anime. It really is. It's an amalgamation, and I wouldn't have thought that it was fun, because I normally don't go for shows that overdo some of the gay tropes.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one's funny, and I enjoy the crap out of it. I think it's funny.
It's sometimes those ones you don't think there's no way I'm going to like this that end up being some of the things that tickle you the most in that moment.
Yeah,
it's like, man, I just had a ball doing this one.
Ooh,
one of the ones I didn't think I would enjoy was Reincarnated as a Villainous. I didn't think I'd like that at all. That show just warms my heart.
There are several like that, and I've got my Annie list. This is what I use for it. But to the other shows that I would recommend and that I've kept. 'Tis Time for Torture, Princess. It's funny. Fluffy Paradise. Those two are the palate cleansers to get rid of the degeneracy from the season. And I really have liked the Unwanted Undead Adventure.
That's on my list to watch. That's on my list to watch right now. Yeah.
And of course, I do like how this one started. I'm behind on it, but The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic has been good so far. I love Mashal. I think it's hilarious. And of course, you can't go wrong with the waifu of waifus, the OG waifu, Lum. Yeah. And this has been a fantastic series. But I dropped most of the degenerate stuff because it just doesn't tickle me as it would have maybe if I was still in my 20s and single. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
There's even some degenerate stuff that I'm like,
that must be saying something.
Chain Soldier was one of them, and it's not as bad. See, that one I felt it needed to be more degenerate than what it actually is to make it work. But that's just me. And then you've got Gushing Over Magical Girls, which if you try to search that, you don't get an autocomplete. It shows you where that one sits, and that one is. It's not the most degenerate thing I've ever seen. But for a modern anime, oh yeah, at least something that doesn't have the straight up NC-17 adult rating.
I don't think I've watched anything degenerate lately. I mean, of course, regular fan service stuff comes across my view. Sometimes like, okay, great, fine, enjoy it. But I don't think I've watched anything remotely degenerate as of late. At least nothing none of the shows that piqued my interest ended up being super degenerate.
Yeah, well, that one is, and there are parts of it that it's definitely funny, but you have to just be at that right age, and I know that for myself, I am not. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't have time for this anymore. I'm just going to drop it.
Oh, sometimes
there were a few others I dropped. So
I get usually I lose maybe about 4 to 6 series a season that I'll get 3 or 4 episodes in, and just usually because I'm not enjoying this. I am
Yeah.
bored. These characters suck. This story is terrible. Or in some cases, this animation is god awful and I can't look at it anymore.
Yeah. Well, last season I started with 40, and I
Oh,
actually
wow.
went through the first at least one episode on all of them. And by the
Damn.
time it was done, I was down to 9, and 3 of
Wow.
them are carryover. So
Yeah, I mean, usually, like I said, usually at best, maybe I'm edging towards 20 on a good season, but
Yeah.
more often than not, I'm between usually 10 and 15 because I'm still, even though I'll watch other things, I'm still very particular about what I'm going to watch.
yeah, I've had
And
to become more picky myself. So
and
yeah.
and sometimes in the end, it cuts us down, like you said. Usually, it ends around 9 or 10 some way. Some always
Yeah.
fall off. Some are always be okay. This is not going to happen. Not going to work. Anyway, you're past your time. Thanks for being here, man,
Yes.
and we
Thank
look
you.
forward to having you back, man.
Absolutely. I definitely appreciate being here and being able to talk weeb with other weeblings and otakus. So
No,
Hopefully, next time we'll have a show that you'll find more interesting. Than this one.
as I said, it's I don't know if I'm going to be able to complete it. I'll watch the movie, and that'll probably solve most of my issues.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And again, I just like I said, I chose this one for a couple of reasons. I
Yeah.
wanted something classic, and I wanted something. I want to see how Derma reacted to a fantasy mech, and that's kind of the reason.
awesome.
So anyway, all right,
Thank you,
take it
gentlemen.
easy, man.
Appreciate
Bye.
it.
have
Take
a
care.
good one, bud.
All right, Dermy, let's dive into your last topic here. Then you wanted to bring this up,
Yes.
so why don't you roll us into this one?
So this is something I've been seeing, and mainly in the form of what's been going on with Final Fantasy VII and Rebirth remake, and some of the decisions that have been going on back and forth. It's a mixture of black pilling and black. It's not just black pilling on something, but it's also white knighting for
Mhm.
stuff that.
Explain white knighting to some people. Most people might not know what white knighting is.
Mhm. So white knighting is basically the exact opposite of black pilling. Where black pilling, you're constantly like just super depressed about it, and you kind of just want everything to fail around it because you no
Mhm.
longer care. Whereas white knighting is you're super positive to the point that you won't even let people's criticism of something, even if it's not super like pushbacky, be a thing, and you have to dunk on them constantly.
You literally sweep in as the white knight to protect your princess with your shield, no matter what. It's that's where it comes from, and you're basically a stand shill. It's a version of a stand in the shill, and
Mhm.
it is really revolting. White knights are terrible because, as you said, there's no reasoning with a white knight. You
Yeah.
could reason with a black pillar because they're just sad and they're broken, but a white knighter is completely blind
Mhm.
to what you're saying. They will not hear what you have to say. What they're defending can do no wrong.
Yeah. And I've been seeing this a lot more in regards to like Rebirth. Uh we had that what happened basically was, hey, we had the bikini scene come out, and the world was being healed by Tifa's massive jugs. Rightfully so. But then after that, and actually I do think this is on Square Enix's feet as bad optics, bad timing, and it does also go to the actual ethics department because that's where this continuity era did start. I don't think they're still there, but because of the continuity era, they decided to go back into remake, which is a 4+ year old game, and then censor Tifa. Well,
Adjust her
I'm
outfit
still
to match.
adjust her
I
outfit to
just
match,
saw it
which
this afternoon in Rebirth. I saw it in all its
Mhm.
adjusted scene this afternoon in Rebirth. It's basically now she's wearing a buttoned shirt right down the center of where her burgeoning boobs are growing.
Mhm. And through that, you have seen people blatantly come out and say, ethics department's still there, ethics department's still there, ethics department's still there, boycott,
Yes.
boycott, boycott, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. Well, on the exact flip side, you're having people do honestly a very disingenuous takedown of, you just want to see 15-year-old girls' tits. You just want to see 15-year-old girls' tits. You just want to see 15-year-old girls' tits. Game's
I
awesome, game's awesome,
I didn't
game's
boycott.
awesome.
I bought. I
Mhm.
didn't boycott.
I'm not planning on boycotting either when it finally comes out for PC. But through this, you're also getting people just on both sides, and I
Mhm.
don't understand it anymore. There's this level of, you can not everything's total shit, and it's okay to still look at it, engage with it, and just accept for what it is. And at the same time, it's okay to criticize something even if you like it. We did that tonight.
Yeah. I do it every Sunday with Jed. I
Mhm.
mean, Saturday with Jed. Every Saturday, we
Yeah.
criticize things we like because
Yeah, like
that's
I literally did a video praising Square Enix and then another video kind of shitting on Square Enix because I thought the decision was stupid and I don't like
listen.
retroactive censorships
I've
or any of
said
that.
these decisions are stupid, but
Mhm.
I'm not going to lose my shit over it because in the
Yeah.
end, and listen, we've had this debate on several different shows. Is censorship bad? Yes, because it shouldn't happen. There's no need for it to happen. There's we don't need any of this whole making it suitable for modern sensibilities. It's all bullshit.
Mhm.
But at the same time, just because something happens doesn't portend doom. It doesn't mean the
Yes.
sky is falling. It can be stupid, but at the same time end up being harmless. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a door through which all these things are walking.
And
And go
when it
ahead.
came
Go
to
ahead.
the shirt, when it came to like the retroactive, and I don't really like calling it censorship because I don't think it's a censorship. It's a retroactive change that they caused because they had an ethics department that was retarded. Um,
Yeah. And just to bring it up here, Carl Carlson thinks they're still there. I disagree. I think that Square Enix, when they sold off all their Western uh wings, all their Western
mhm,
companies here that lost them millions, hundreds of millions of dollars last year. When they sold those off and are now in the process of restructuring the company to go back to their roots, I think they are getting rid of these bad Western influences that infiltrated from their Western corporation, the Western end of the corporation. So I think
and
and here I'll agree where our friend Cloud says all the time, those people are still there, but they aren't in the department where they have power to adjust a game anymore.
and I could agree with that. I could agree with that. And like when it comes to this past censorship in particular, I took it from I don't like companies going into games and retroactively doing anything to them unless it's fixing an actual bug. You shouldn't change these aspects. You shouldn't take
No.
stuff out. You shouldn't do any of that stuff. That's my position on it because I don't like that because it further shows that you don't own any of these games. You're just
Yeah.
renting space to do stuff with them for a little while and then they can do whatever the fuck they want with it. But
Mhm.
that's where I'm taking this from. But when I put out my video on like the whole censorship aspect, I was seeing both sides. We had a dumbass in our sphere going around dunking on everybody for just pointing out, hey, this is a thing and it's not good, and acting like it's not that big of a deal and we're just hating on it to hate on it, when in reality, no, this is actually a legitimate thing.
Mhm.
And I don't get these two mentalities. Like they're both very counterintuitive to each other. And it kind of just you always have to be on one side or the other, and there is no middle ground anymore.
What you get is it doesn't leave a chance to actually get to the root of the problem and why
Mhm.
somebody has a problem with it. Perfect example. I know we're talking a video game here. It's Anime Odyssey, but this is the focal point through which Jeremy found this, and we can branch it out to anime. It's happening all over the
Mhm.
place right now, where they are censoring shows before they come over here. It's happening still, where they're cutting things out, or the they're giving the actual people problem. We just talked about it. One Piece. They gave them shit over that. They wanted to censor something, and they did it in Bleach last year. Thousand Year Blood
Mhm.
arc, where at one point during a fight, one of the Stern Ritter shoves her hand, because it was a chick, her hand right up between Orihime's massive cans.
Mhm.
And then a few minutes later, a few chapters later, there's a line, "Why do you stink of jizz?" I mean, it's there. But the pearl clutchers, the tourists, the fake fans, the SJWs, the people who create ethics departments who still have control to some extent in anime, they got this shit taken out. And Tite Kubo said, I am deeply saddened that they did this to my property. I did not want this. This was not my, I wrote it a certain way. And the whole reason he allowed them to do animate the Thousand Year Blood arc was so that he could do more with it that he was rushed to finish. Let me say that differently. I said that wrong. He wants to do more because he was rushed to finish the original version in the manga. Because anybody that read the final arc of Bleach knows that, man, that thing just went with a lot of holes and ends not tied off, and a lot of backstory to things happening not in there. And the whole reason they're doing this now is to give us the full story. Tite Kubo wanted to do that. And when they change his art, even when he was so open, okay, I'm giving him a chance, that's wrong. So Dermy is absolutely right. When somebody goes in something to change something from its original source, it's not right. And now back to Final Fantasy is the other thing. I just finished playing Remake the other day, getting ready for starting Rebirth today. And when you look in the credits, as they're showing all the cutscenes, you still see the flashback of Tifa as she was in Remake before they put a patch in, where Cowgirl Tifa, her suddenly growing boobies are sticking out through the top of her vest. The unedited part is still in the closing credits. So they didn't even go back in there and get every moment of it. They just went and got back that 1/2 a second blip in the flashback of the chapter 1 you just play now in Rebirth. So they didn't get it all. And that tells me maybe they weren't even that serious to begin with. Because if they were that serious, they would have gotten it in the credits, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm.
This, I think, to something you mentioned, this is now fallout from, you told me it was done in Crisis Core, and now it's just now the people left in charge are, well, shit, we don't care. We're not doing this from a censorship issue. We're doing it for a continuity issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I see it
agree.
as now. And that is where I come into the side of, this is why you don't run around screaming with your head on fire that something's happening. Oh, censorship, we're all done. This is the part I want to talk about it now, where I don't appreciate whether it's a website or YouTubers that jump on this topic where either A, they have no real basis for doing it, and therefore it becomes a true grift, not the silly grifts that you and I do in the fellowship, where we take part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're grifting on this because we're yanking on the low hanging fruit, but we still actually talk about this shit, so we're legitimately talking about it. No, I don't like it when a website puts out an article about it solely for the purpose of ginning up one of the sides you're referring to, the Black Pillars or the White Knighters, depending on which one they want to gin up. I don't like that. That pisses me off.
And I actually agree, because I've dug into some of these, and I think we've talked about another one of these examples before. Bounding in Comics has done it tons
they did
of
it
times.
again last week, and then today they did it last week. They did it 2 days ago with the latest Tifa thing, and then today I didn't read it because I'm trying to avoid spoilers. They dropped what looks like a very positive review of Rebirth.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, one of their associates, one of their contributors, did a grift gaslighting article about how, oh my God, censorship is going to ruin everything. They took away Tifa's boobs. And then suddenly, oh, this game's great.
But it wasn't even, I haven't even read their article. I'm willing to bet it wasn't even accurate, because I've been seeing they censored Rebirth. They've censored Rebirth. They've censored Rebirth. And when it comes to the style of stuff, it's take it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it for what's going on right here. And I was watching Papa Gundam's stream today from yesterday and everything, and he had this actually really funny dude on who's completely demonetized, but he's now just going out there to have fun. But he said something very smart. What Square Enix is doing is a step in the right direction with the whole bringing the beach scene out, bringing back Tifa's tits.
Mm-hmm.
What they did in regards to this retroactive censorship, even he called it that, but I think that's the wrong term. It was bad PR at the worst possible time. And then he went on and continued saying, hey, what we are supposed to be doing here is we say, hey, that's good that we brought back Tifa's tits. And then you come out and say, hey, that's bad that you did this. And then you just move on. It's not, oh my God, let's boycott and destroy everything, when you don't know what's fully going on there. And on your aspect of everybody was making something out to be much bigger than it truly was, we had the panties incident.
Mm-hmm.
We've had
I did the scene.
There was an incident before.
You still go. I did the scene today.
Mm-hmm.
You go into her room, you mess around in her closet, and both her and Aerith both call you an asshole for doing it. But
so very similar to.
But their panties weren't involved. You're just seen rummaging through her closet. She goes, "You went through my closet? Yeah. I did. Cloud. And they both go, you asshole. They still yell at him. Of course, now the only difference is there's no panties mentioned, but you're still called an asshole for rummaging through her stuff. To me, it's the same concept. Just the panties joke isn't there. And frankly, I never needed the panties joke in the first place. Some people are going to go die hard. Oh, you needed it. But it wasn't, I didn't need it. It was nothing burger. It was a nothing burger.
Yes. There was another example of this that I saw.
While you think of it, I'm going to back up the side that Square Enix is going far away. You didn't play Final Fantasy 16, did you?
Not yet.
Yeah, because you don't have PS5. Well, there's a scene towards the end, towards the final end, where I suddenly forget the protagonist's name and his lady love. They are recovering from a battle. They've been washed up on a shore on a beach. There's an entire scene of both of them naked, sitting as shown. Now, none of the goody bits are shown, but a lot of side boob, a lot of back. But they're sitting there naked, no censorship at all. Just normal as we're talking about anime censorship, where an arm is covering the boob or something's covering the nipple. You can't quite see his crotch, but you see everybody's ass everywhere. I don't know. That's pretty not censored to me, and it's tasteful. It's a scene where they're sharing their emotions and they're coming clean about stuff. But there's nudity there, and nobody talked about that Square Enix did it. No, they just want to talk about the fact that, oh no, Tifa had her cleavage covered up when she was 15. That's what they want to talk about. That's what I say in the end when these conversations happens, and like you, I'm frustrated that only the extremes are being heard, and it makes both their opinions to me disingenuous. Because on the one side, you have both sides. Well, I'm sorry, on both sides, you have people who are either not going to listen or want to hate something. And to me, the most experience I've had is the people who just want to hate this game because it's not the one-to-one. That's my experience right now.
And I've been playing Remake right now, and I just battled Rude. I'm not super far into it. I'm willing to bet.
I think that's chapter 8 of 18. There are 18 chapters. So.
Then I'm decent. I'm a decent way in.
Yeah.
It's probably going to get harder and harder, but I just battled Rude. Yes, they're changing a lot up, but it's not the same
changes
way
I just went through the beginning right now. If my stream dad was going like this. How the hell did this happen? What's going on here? What are you doing? I want a good explanation for why this is happening, but I'm accepting it. I'm moving forward.
Like some of the changes I saw weren't bad changes. These were actually like additions, not outright changes. But the main change that I've noticed is there's those weird ghost things. What the fuck's going on there? You spoiled at least one massive deviation towards the end, but I'm willing to bet they at least explain it away and make it kind of make sense for why it does this instead. And
there's a lot of things that still need explaining, especially the beginning of today's game. A lot of things need explaining, and so but I'm along for the ride right now, and I'm enjoying the ride. And
I'm not, but like I was mentioning, Doomsayers and people like that recently. The Tomb Raider remasters came out.
Those are legitimate remasters, not remakes. Legit remaster. That's all it is.
Remaster, quite legitimate remasters. And every single outlet came out and talked about the thing from Crystal Dynamics, what they put out there. And then you're sitting there and you end up looking into what Crystal Dynamics did. You look into the game and you're like, oh, Crystal Dynamics didn't even make this game. They're just putting this out there as a virtue signal because they hate what they did here. But everybody ran with Crystal Dynamics made this because they own Tomb Raider's IP. They don't even dig into what's actually going on there, and they just want to rile people up. They just want to rile everything up. And it's like, guys, look deeper for once. Just please look deeper. You do it good in other areas. Why can't you do it here? Why do you have to take that the little thing and just go like, get angry?
Listen, it's what I said a few weeks ago when we touched this conversation before. The pendulum is swinging back, and it's the opposite effect. People are so damaged with what's been going on. Now they're going to hold on to it on our end, and they're going to overreact in the opposite way. that nothing can change, none of this, or they're gonna dive into things that make people go, "Oh my god, they're doing it again," and gaslight. Because let's be honest, a lot of these people have relevancy because they call out this shit, and if the shit isn't there to call out anymore, then what do? I mean, what do we do? Well, we'll just start talking about the things we like. It's very easy.
Mhm.
It could be a very easy transition for us. I don't need to review bad shit. I just review bad shit because it's there. When it's gone, I can easily change gears. There's a
I'm
lot of shit.
legitimately thinking of reviewing and watching Shogun because it looks so good.
I'm just not interested. I prefer. I listen. I love shit. I just forgot his name. Fuck.
The actor.
No. The writer.
Oh,
No. Shit. Hang on. Fuck. God damn it. I'm trying to remember. I just too many names tonight, and it's 10:30. Everything's gotten knocked out of my head. Who wrote the whole Asia series? Just suddenly forgot his name. He's dead. Crap. I mean, any minute someone's gonna correct me in the chat. I know they are. Fuck. I don't have any of the books in here, and I don't know if it's on my Noble House DVD. Noble.
but anyways, like continuing on,
Uh,
like we can transition to talking about good stuff too. We can do things that we like. There's tons of discussions that we can just start making videos of. Hey,
Clavell.
this was freaking awesome.
James Clavell. Sorry, just finish. Let me finish all that. I love James Clavell's stuff, but I'm interested in the other side of the Asia saga, not the Japan side. So I'm not interested in Shogun. So
I'm a big, I don't know what the term is, Japanophile or something like that. There's a correct term, like there's an Anglophile, which is like what Jed is. There's a Japanese
I know
version
what
of it.
I know what it is. I know what it is. I know. I just forget the term right now. Yeah, I know.
I mean, obviously, I'm kind of an otaku
I know you
over
are.
here.
Yeah, I
Obviously,
know.
I'm
Yeah.
deep into that stuff and love every aspect of it. But you're right. We can just immediately change up our things and start talking about good stuff. We can
Yeah.
talk about other things, and there's still going to be shit things to talk about.
Yeah.
I do news reviews and play video games. There's always going to be news. There's always going to be something
There's
to
always
do.
news. I mean, once a week. I do twice a week. I've got 2 separate streams. One, Mellow Mondays, we really just try to focus on. Yes, I throw up an article here and there to get pissed about, but the majority of the show is just nerding out over shit. That's the whole point of the show, to just talk about the stuff we love. And then every Saturday Night Drive-In, it's to talk about good movies.
Mhm.
And
And then there's
whether or not Jed's gonna like it, that's another story. But
and then Anime Odyssey. Sometimes we
yeah,
get a
here.
hit. Sometimes we get a miss.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, tonight was revisiting something that I once liked. I just like it a little bit less than I did, but I still like it. I still think it should be owned. It deserves to be on a shelf. It's different now. Next month, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. It's something I avoided.
I'm just gonna say I like misery porn. This is
Yes, you
not
do.
misery porn. This is not misery porn, and I loved Zom 100. So
I
that
know you
should
like.
give
I
you
know you
like
like
a
misery porn. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I listen. I
really
know.
like misery porn.
I somehow know what it's about. It just didn't appeal to me, and it's like I said, one of those things. People were either gushing over it or criticizing it, and therefore I go the opposite direction. I was like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want.
But
So
and we've been talking about like the people that rile everybody up, the people that are very doomsayers and everything like that. On the flip side, you also have, and we've kind of touched on it, the white knights.
mhm.
White knights won't let anybody talk about maybe a negative aspect of something. And the moment you do say something, hey, this is kind of shitty. You know what? Maybe this thing right here is bad. They'll immediately come to, oh, you hate every aspect of it. You're a fake fan. You're this, you're that. Your opinions are bad, and just start trying to dunk on you, defend it, to viciously defend any action viciously to the
It
point
does no
of
wrong. It's like, oh,
yeah, it
how can
does
you
no
hate
wrong.
this?
And
Yeah.
I would say go back and watch Tuesday's Tuesday Night Mayhem, because Kratos had an interaction with Lofty, who was full-fledged white knighting for Rebirth. And when people were going around like saying, hey, this was a shitty thing to do, this was a bad thing to do, with the censorship aspect, Lofty came in and just started dunking on everybody, saying, oh, you just want to look at 15-year-old tits. You just want to look at 15-year-old tits. You just want to look at 15-year-old tits. And when you start seeing that, when I make my video and I see people go like, "It's a 15-year-old girl, dude, you're being a creep. It's a 15-year-old girl, dude, you're being a creep." Even though in my video
Yeah.
I point out it's not that she's 15, it's a retroactive thing, and it goes
Yeah.
to you don't own your games.
Yeah. And I
When you
mean, I
have
already,
that
yeah,
yeah.
you're absolutely right. Yeah. And I pointed out too tonight. It's like, yes, I made that argument. It is a 15-year-old girl. And it, that is a factor in me and why I'm not making a big deal of it because so you're going to cover up a 15-year-old girl. That's fine. But then again,
Mhm.
how many times have I looked at an anime and a 15-year-old girl with tits bigger than my head are running around? I'm going like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, but I'm also saying the part that I'm not going to defend Rebirth for it. I said it was a stupid decision to censor it at all. You could have just left it alone. But I understand the continuity aspect of it. See that there is a nuance to these things, but Lofty doesn't understand nuance. Lofty
We're doing
understands
a
being
Neo
what?
I need to go start watching Clownfish again because Renaissance Nerd and not Renaissance Carl Carlson can't speak, doing a neon geeky sparkles from Clownfish TV. Very
I
nice.
haven't watched Clownfish in years, so I don't know if they have.
I need to get back on watching it, but I do think we might be doing a decent job of it because one of
I don't.
us is more animated, the other one is more logical and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch Clownfish back in the day, and I only watched some of their videos. I never watched any of their live streams, so I don't know. Do they? So I don't know how they interact these days on streams, but I guess I don't know.
I haven't seen any of their streams. I know how they
Mm,
interact on videos, but
mm.
I hey,
Last time I
if we're
watched them,
doing
they were shitting on Shira. That's how long ago it's been since I watched them. So
it's been a little while. They do really good park work, but hey, if we're doing something nice, we're something good,
hey, we're having a
let's go with
discussion
it.
here, and
Yeah,
we are sober. We don't drink on this show. Dermy doesn't drink on this show. I don't
I
know.
don't. I'm one. I don't drink on this show. Two, I'm trying to cut back on the drinking. Only doing it on Fridays and Saturdays. I'm doing my
And I'm
best.
always sober. I did well. Only time I wasn't sober was on my birthday, and I'm
Mhm.
not doing that again because I don't like losing control of my show. So,
But
but anyway,
what I
back on
am
topic.
gonna back on topic. It's when you solely white knight for something, and I've been a victim of white knighting and black pilling on certain stuff. We both have on certain occasions. I'm pretty sure me and you've had arguments back and forth on
I
various
just
topics.
try not to
Well,
be a hypocrite. I just
yeah,
try not to be a hypocrite in what I do and say. That's my
and
main goal.
that's the same way. That's why when I'm playing remake, it's hey, I still don't like that it's not pure to the original, but I'm not hating what I'm getting here. And I try. We have discussions, whatnot. We go on this, but both sides of the white knight and the black pill won't allow for the nuanced discussion or the
Mhm.
actual like, hey, something is afoot here. Let's just discuss it. Maybe we're going too far one way or the other. They just want to yank you either way and just freak out no matter what. And I've white knighted for Pokemon. I've
Yeah.
white knighted for Nintendo. I know I have, but at least I try to tell you why I'm doing this and why I'm
I
coming at it from this
I just
perspective.
don't like the freaking out aspect of either side.
Mhm.
To me, it's mostly it's the doomsayers that get me the most when they freak out. I don't like that because uh, they refuse to see the whole picture. So like white knights refuse to see the whole picture. When you have a super emotional reaction to something, it is blinding you. You don't see the details and you don't look at the complete equation. Now listen, I'm an old man. I have been through a lot of stuff and maybe it's just the life lessons I've learned at this point. I'm not gonna lose my shit because most of the time the shit that people are losing over is really inconsequential.
Well,
I mean, there's one thing that matters right now to me about Final Fantasy Rebirth. Is it going to be a good game? Am I going to have fun? And I will reach that verdict in the next probably 70 to 80 hours
well,
of gameplay.
uh, one other aspect of this is because of that censorship story that went around, that again is legitimate. You had a bunch of people. I'm willing. $5 says it started by a Doomer saying that they were going to censor the beach scene. They were going to censor the beach scene.
Yeah.
Massive rumor going around. Everybody started going like, if they do this, they pissed away all their goodwill, and everybody was terrified. There are people that still believe that they did it. Comes out they didn't censor the beach scene. They didn't do anything
By
with the
now,
boosting.
people have had the game for some for over 24 hours, some for exactly 24 hours. We would have heard by now
Mhm.
if it was
When it
sensible.
comes to that gay relationship, a lot of people actually thought it was a gay relationship, and it's like, where is it? Where is all this stuff? It's not
Yeah.
there. It's a bunch of people trying to push narratives that don't exist and
And it's people that
rile
aren't really
people up.
interested in the product either. They're not.
Mhm,
They're there to be a part of the fight.
mhm.
They're not going to buy the game. They were never going to play the game. They don't care if the game is good or not. They just want to use it in a wedge for whatever side they're arguing for. And I'm sick of that. My hobby, your hobby, our hobbies are not chess pieces in your bullshit to try and get relevancy or to try and get any sort of political clout. And I've blackpilled before. I never want to do it again. It was a horrible experience. I did not like feeling that way about something I loved. I will never blackpill again. I hated it. I was miserable.
And I see Alpha Omega saying it's because Fairy Tail game was uncensored, but a day one patch came out and censored it in a bait and switch. But I don't think the Fairy Tail game was made by Square Enix. So these are other aspects that you have to look in when you start discussing this stuff and start going over this stuff. It's like, who did this? Where did they come from? What's going on here? And people just go like, well, Japan anime, they're gonna do it.
And sometimes, when did it start? What instigated? When was the catalyst point? And it reached a point where it couldn't be stopped. And that I want to ask these types of questions. Is it who's involved? Is the current leadership involved with it, or is something they had to carry over?
Well, like,
Because sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes in some cases there are legal things in play. If something's been started and put into action and money and investments put into it, you can't just make it go away. There are legal consequences. You have to go through with it. Then the best case scenario is if you're the ones who come in charge to fix the mess that this is kind of a resulting out of, you just got to mitigate it, say you're sorry, and do something to distract us. Because hey, listen, we're all easily distracted, and then move on and do good work.
well, on the same side of that, you have people that started talking about, because of Pal World, a lot more people are talking about Pokemon, and you had Pokemon Day and Pokemon Present come out. And I was seeing people go like, "Oh, Pal World came out and they didn't even adjust for it. They're going to continue going down this weird path that they don't even know about." And it's like, this game was already in development well before Pal World came out. Like, they can't auto correct that much.
Yeah.
But they thought that they could, and you
Well,
start getting to these people that just don't understand how these systems actually work.
that's a great point.
This- Mhm.
That's a great point because we may think in our little worlds that it's so easy to fix something once it's been put into play. It isn't.
Mhm.
It isn't. And we,
And
no matter how much we want it, just I'm sorry, it's not always possible to stop something from happening, even though maybe the people know it's wrong.
and another thing to actually go to real quick on the like how much Square Enix has been changing, even with Final Fantasy. They have a brand new CEO that literally
Mhm.
came in last month. You don't
No.
know what the fuck's about to happen.
No.
We had their ethics department no longer hiring. Those people might be there, they might not be there. Is the ethics department existing? Have no fucking idea. But they have a brand new CEO. They're planning on announcing their new changes. And when it came to this last censorship, it was because of the ethics, but it was an ethics fuck up that they should never have done in the first place.
Yeah. And the people in charge now, they couldn't stop it. It was done. I mean, it's fait accompli. And now look at what they do going forward.
Mhm.
Judge them
Whatever.
by the final results and how they treat you all going forward. Don't judge from something that in the end did it really ruin anything? Was it really a herald? Was it really a herald for the apocalypse that you think it might be? Now it takes time to make that judgment, but you and I and other rational people were able to take that moment and look at the full picture. And as some of the chat has said, we don't want to let ourselves be influenced by people who just want to influence us for whatever the reasons that have nothing to do with actually putting out something quality as a product. They just want it for a wedge in their in their political games.
And Vin Zinger brought up an example what Pasobik did with Tulsa
Mhm.
King, Tim Pool did with Mario. People that don't, and you've said it before, people talking about shit they shouldn't be talking about.
Yes, stick to your wheelhouse. Talk about your shit.
Yeah,
Now,
talk
and-
about Civil
yeah.
War and everything like that, and make me feel like the world's falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have a very large, breadth of knowledge in history and politics, but I don't talk about it not because I don't know about it, but because it's, to me, it's not something that frankly needs to be talked about ad nauseum anymore. I'm not where you want to go for that.
Mhm.
I'm here. Excuse me, god damn it. I'm here to talk nerd shit. I'm here to help you escape. Now, I won't always perhaps be on topic with my nerd shit, but I'm still going to talk about something and do my best. Anyway, all right. So,
And
guys,
I want to have
yeah,
fun.
yeah. And now, imparting on this guys, just remember, make your own decisions. It's fine to listen to us and listen to others if we're the ones who have found the news, but remember, doesn't hurt to do your own research. Doesn't hurt to challenge us sometimes, make us do our research, but also remember, don't be too influenced by what others say. If it's a big fight going on, try and look at the whole equation. And more often than not, you will find the answers you need to come to a conclusion that will be comfortable with you. That's my advice on that. And don't freak out. Don't freak out. Freaking out solves nothing, because then you're not thinking clearly, and you may say something that you don't mean to say. That's why I don't get involved in a lot of internet drama, because even though I do have opinions and feelings and very strong emotions on stuff, I put a lid on it, because internet drama doesn't really, it gets momentary spikes of interest, but it doesn't build good quality entertainment.
Mhm.
It's a train wreck, and train wrecks are not pretty. They're interesting, but they're not pretty.
Internet drama can also destroy your channel, destroy your life. You
Mhm.
can chase friends away. Staying out of it is always the best decision.
Yeah.
As much
If-
as fun as it is to maybe throw that hand grenade in sometimes.
I mean, we all comment this up, but you know what? We comment in private. If
Mhm.
you need to talk about it, find somebody or some people you can talk about it with in private, so you can just get it out of your system, so you don't get involved. I mean, Dermy and I both know exactly what we're thinking about right now. There are things we would love to talk about with certain internet dramas going on right now, but we don't, because it doesn't serve the greater purpose or interest of you and the entertainment you come to us to find.
Mhm.
All right. With that, we are over 2 hours in, and we don't even have a guest anymore. So no point in meandering about. So Dermy, reiterate, what is our show for next month in March?
Our show for next month in March, by the way, also my birth month, even though I celebrate a birthday because I'm not a
Will
bitch.
you be a man and just celebrating your day?
I said my day. It's my
I
birth
know, but you
month, but I
started
only
with
celebrate.
birth month, you giant woman.
I said I'm not a bitch. I celebrate a birthday.
But
It's
you
just my
started it
birth
with month. I'm not going to let that slide.
Well, because of this fucking show, I have to point out it's my birth month. Okay, we do it once a month and not once a week. So,
Shut up.
yay. Anyways, but we will be doing Zom 100, honestly a fun show, a different take on like a zombie apocalypse, and does stuff that I was not expecting. Tons of fun, tons of enjoyment, and honestly, in a weird way, fucking hopeful, which is the
Did
exact
it
opposite of
end?
stuff that I like.
Did it get all its episodes? Because I heard there was a problem while it was airing, that there was delays. So is it over?
Yes, there was delays. Yeah, it's all over. It's all
Okay.
dubbed. It's
Okay.
all out. It's
Okay.
fucking
All right, so that'll
great.
be March 28th, guys, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be right back here, and we will announce our guest once we have it. So thanks to everybody that hung out with us tonight across both channels. We hope you had a good time. hit those like buttons, subscribe to the channels. Brandon's channel is in my description below, so you can find him on his YouTube channel there. And we will see you guys next time. Until then, guys, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you be, and enjoy a little Tifa.